Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
The Fall of Skywalker.
The what?
The Fall of Skywalker.
Oh, God.
Fall of Star Wars.
I'm going to quote Jeremy Jahns here, more paraphrasing. What happened to Star Wars? How did we get here? You know, I think he put it very accurately. And I don't think we can do a good of review as Jeremy Jahns did. But, you know, as huge Star Wars fans, mainly the original trilogy, I can tolerate the prequels. You know, I obviously, Force Awakens for me was, Last Jedi was, and then Rise of Skywalker, I'm still processing it on what I personally think about it, but critically, we pretty much have a consensus here.
Well, here's how I describe it, which is this, is that the prequels, for me, because I obviously, it's my first taste of Star Wars. I was growing up as a little kid at that point when the prequels came out. You know, I like the prequels. I understand they're bad films, but I can enjoy them. The original trilogy is a fucking masterpiece. I love it. And, you know, I guess, you know, the Star Wars stories and stuff, films, enjoyable. You know, Force Awakens is disappointing for me, but, you know, I can appreciate it for what it is. And then we get The Last Jedi, which is like, you know, I'm on the playground and the big balloon on the block and stuff comes up and he takes my favorite toy and he shatters it. He just fucking shatters it.
Oh my God. Who was it?
I don't want to talk about it.
Was it someone we knew?
No.
Okay.
No. And then Rise of Skywalker comes out and it's like, here you had the teacher come out and they saw it, but then they took a match and they lit it on fire. They just lit the pieces on fire. So it's like, oh, you're gonna fix it? No. Everything you love is gone now.
My biggest problem with Episode 9, and you might agree, is the pacing.
It's so bad.
I've never seen pacing like this in a Star Wars film. And, you know, pacing is one of the big things I look for critically, just as a writer myself, someone who does writing a lot. Pacing's important. Where, you know, the first, 40 minutes of the film, and this isn't J.J. Abrams' fault. I don't blame him for this. He's really picking up the pieces. You know, Force Awakens set up what could have been a cohesive trilogy. Yeah, it stumbled a little bit along the way, but you very easily could have turned Force Awakens into something better.
Well, here's the thing with this, is that I don't necessarily even blame Rian Johnson, per se, for ruining the dumpster, but creating the dumpster fire, which this movie was. Because Last Jedi is a horrible film, and it really just, it screws everything up. But the thing with Rian Johnson was, Rian Johnson could have just taken J.J. Abrams' script. He could have been told, hey, this is the script you have to take, this is the script you have to go with, and stuff. You make a few changes here and there and stuff, but this is the main point you have to keep. And Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger basically went to Rian Johnson and said, you have complete creative control. So Rian Johnson, being what Rian Johnson is, wants to do his own story, takes the script, and fucking throws it in the trash. I don't like how JJ did to George.
JJ didn't do that to George, but
you know what I mean.
Bob Iger did that to
JJ,
George.
he accepted it. He went apart. He was a willing participant. He could have said something.
Money talks.
I'm not denying it. I'm just saying.
But you know, Last Jedi really left Episode 9 with nothing. It's more just like, well, shit. Now what do we do? Because Last Jedi really closed off a lot of character arcs, potential, storylines for Episode 9, like Snoke. I'll bet any amount of money that J.J. Abrams intended for Snoke to go all the way up to Episode 9. Palpatine was never the plan. Come on. If you think Palpatine was supposed to be in Episode 9 originally, something's wrong with you. It was never intended for Palpatine to come back. And their thing is, well, shit, Snoke's dead, and we kind of need that higher protagonist.
Antagonist.
Did I say protagonist?
Yeah.
Oh, antagonist. It's been a long night of filming. You could have done Kylo Ren as your main antagonist, but then what do you do for the redemption storyline? You need a way for him to redeem himself. So I understand them bringing Palpatine back. I understand that. Because they weren't really left with a choice. Fans were angry. They wanted to make money. How do we get fans to pay again? You know, after Solo bombed, let's bring back a fan favorite. And Palpatine is my favorite Star Wars character. So, obviously, they know what they're doing to a certain degree here.
Well, I think another part of it was, which you and I actually discussed right after we heard about, you know, them bringing back George to, you know, a small capacity to advise, and, you know, the possibility of Palpatine being brought back, and a variety of things, which is, you know, they were going to go out and they were going to give as much fan service for this as they could, because Last Jedi was the opposite of that. It was all, you know, brand new, and it bombed. Yeah. I mean, it split the fan base.
It made money, but
it bombed, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I meant by that.
From a storytelling standpoint, it bombed.
So their whole point was, you know, we want the fans to come back. Because it honestly, I mean, it made money, but it was projected to make more.
It was, yeah.
I mean, they were expecting, how much was it? Almost $2 billion. That's what they wanted.
Well, I mean, Force Awakens was way past $2 billion.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're going to want to replicate that, if not higher. And it didn't. And you know, the first 40 minutes of Rise of Skywalker is exposition, 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 MacGuffin. There you go. You know, it's these characters, and you do get to see all of them together for the first time in the trilogy. Like, you see Poe, Rey, and Finn together. Which is something we hadn't seen before.
But there's no chemistry between them. There's the characters, there's no investing in them. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is the first time we're seeing these characters all together now, and, you know, there's this kind of force that Rey and Poe don't like each other. They said Ren and Poe. Rey and Poe, like, combined, you know, Rey and Finn, they're now Ren.
Oh, God. Twilight Zone. Anyway.
Jordan Peele's here.
No. Rod Serling's here. But, you know, it's just, the first 40 minutes is clearly picking everything up, trying to build a new cohesive story. You know, you have these Sith artifacts, and this review will contain spoilers, by the way. Don't want to be that asshole that gets yelled at for not saying spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. If you have not seen the film, at this point in time, turn the review off.
So, you know, you have these Sith artifacts. They're not really, I guess they're just more of a map in a lot of ways, because you have, you know, in the opening crawl, you have the dead speak. Palpatine magically put out a nice little voice for everyone to hear, making it obvious that he's alive out of nowhere because they wanted money. But that's besides the point.
What are you talking about? You never had, you know, a telepathic message and stuff, you know, from Palpatine, like saying, "Hey, I'm back, guys."
I mean, I didn't get the message, the memo.
Only me? Shit.
But, you know, and one thing I did like was it kind of went right into Kylo Ren finding Palpatine, which actually surprised me a little bit. You would think Palpatine would be a little more shrouded for maybe the second or third act. But, you know, right in there, you have the fan service right away. You know, you have...
Because we need money!
You have James Earl Jones back as Darth Vader. Quick little cameo there. You have Andy Serkis back as Snoke's voice. And, you know, they did away with Snoke in Last Jedi, which is actually my biggest problem with Last Jedi. Because Snoke, to me, was the most interesting character, just for me personally, of Episode 7.
Well, here's just going in a little side note on this. I think a big problem with Last Jedi is they didn't know how to use their villains. I mean, all three of the major villains in Last Jedi are completely ruined for this film. I mean, Kylo Ren, you take the mask off. And I guess you start to go along the redemption side and stuff, but I mean, you take the mask off to an extent in Force Awakens, but, you know, you shatter the mask and Last Jedi is gone. I mean, a big part of what made Vader such a great villain is that you don't take the mask off until Return of the Jedi. You don't see what's under the mask. And, I mean, you have little hints and you have little teasers, but there's never the big reveal. And that made him scared because you always questioned, is it a man under there? Is it a monster? You know what his actions are. But with Ren, you take the mask off and it makes him less scary. And then with Hux, you made Hux just a comic relief character. Yeah. And then Snoke was gone. He was dead.
And then he turns out randomly to be a spy.
Yeah, Hux is a spy now.
And then he just gets killed.
Shotgun blast to the chest.
Yeah, like, what the fuck, man? Like, I liked Hux in Force Awakens.
I mean, he was kind of given off almost like, like a Nazi, like...
He was a Hitler-esque...
Which was interesting.
Yeah, which was interesting.
I mean, especially for, like, a villain. I mean, that's an interesting take to do, especially in today's, social climate.
The Pussy Society, as I like to call it. Yeah, so... you have all these three characters. They're going out to find things. You have Rose, basically, which I'm fine with Rose being on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I know people are complaining right now, but she was a horribly written character in Last Jedi, so I'm perfectly fine with that.
Well, here's the thing, though, with Rose. Is, like, Rose was a horribly written character in Last Jedi, but, like, you have the character now, and they just kind of threw her off.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't do anything with Rose. I mean, I think Rose, I think I can probably count the amount of lines Rose has in this film on both hands. Like, maybe actually one hand. And it's that's the thing. I didn't like Rose's character. Kelly Marie Tran is not a bad actress. I've seen her in other things. She's not bad. That's a whole other thing with this. I don't have a problem necessarily with the performances of the actors and actresses of this trilogy. But, the writing's so bad because everything else I've seen them in, everybody's phenomenal. I mean, Adam Driver's one of the best actors in Hollywood today. And there are times where, because of the writing, Kylo Ren looks like just a moody teenager.
And I feel like in this film, he had a lot to do, but I felt like he did kind of take the sidelines a tad bit. Whereas, he didn't have as much dialogue, he didn't have as much really to do, but, of course you did have that big redemption here, which I thought the redemption was good. I think it was better handled than I expected. This is where we get into the spoiler territory. But we had the whole, the lightsaber fight with Rey, Leia basically distracts him telepathically, and then he takes a lightsaber to the, I guess, like, lower chest area, upper abdomen.
I just want to put into this with this side note of that fight. I don't know if you noticed it, but every time Rey jumps, it is the most awkward jump I've ever seen in Star Wars. Like, it's almost like she's just like, go, gadget, floating powers.
Yeah, well, she was levitating in the film.
We don't talk about that.
There were a lot of force powers here. We had healing, which does exist in the Star Wars universe. For the people that said healing came out of nowhere, that's not true. We've had healing before.
It's just...
But where did she learn to heal from?
That's the thing.
If Leia... don't give me the garbage that Leia taught her how to heal.
Where did Leia learn that?
Yeah.
Like, Leia, it's firmly established in the film that Leia was trained by Luke to be a Jedi.
Which is fine.
She had a vision that, caused her to then stop her training. So, you're going to tell me that Luke taught her how to do that in the time sprint? It's because it doesn't look like that's what it would be.
This film bit off more than it could chew. But
it definitely did.
As I was saying, though, you had Harrison Ford returning, which actually surprised the hell out of me. I mean, we all know that he wanted Han Solo dead. He was happy to be done with Star Wars. But, money talks.
I know.
And, yeah, that's a big thing here. You have a pretty good exchange. That's a nice callback to Force Awakens. And then, we have Ben Solo again. He doesn't say I love you, but he goes to, and then Han says, I know. That's one of those fan service moments that doesn't make sense. I'm fine with fan service. I know people are bitching about fan service here. That's not a concern of mine here from a critical standpoint. But him saying I know, I don't feel like that fits. your son's redemption story. That's obviously just one of those, popcorn movie pops. They want the audience to pop for that one.
My question is, was he a hallucination? Was he a memory? Because he can't be a Force ghost. He doesn't have Force powers from what we've established with this canon.
Well, he's not Force sensitive.
And, he wasn't a Force ghost when he showed up because he showed up as normal. So was he a hallucination? Did Han actually survive and he just showed up on that random planet? He's like, hey, son.
How's it going?
How you been doing? Mom's dead. Went back home. Found her dead body. Came out here to see you and Ray.
I don't know what he was. I'd like to think it was just like a metaphorical hallucination, but at the same time, they're interacting.
I hope to God that Harrison Ford, that wasn't planned. Harrison Ford just showed up on the set one day and just started dicking around with Kylo Ren or Adam Driver. But Adam Driver started going in character and Harrison Ford just speaking random shit and they just kind of all worked together and Jay just get this film, go.
Heard you need to fix a franchise.
Harrison Ford, man.
Oh man. But I mean, it's cool to see the callbacks. Obviously you had a lot of voice cameos. I still think that it's a huge mistake not to have Hayden Christensen in the film. As a Force ghost. It's been rumored that he filmed scenes and they were cut out. So, I personally would have had him in Last Jedi instead of Yoda. I think that would have worked better.
Yep.
But you had Liam Neeson come back as a voice cameo, Samuel Jackson. You had the voice of Ahsoka Tano. I think you had Rebels cameos in there too. I know the ship from Rebels was in there. So, I think as a finale, it works. But it's not this great finale. It's hard to... I mean, obviously it works. You have her going to Tatooine at the end somehow. How did she know where the homestead was?
The Force.
Fuck the Force. How did...
The Force is our answer to everything.
How did she get to the Lars homestead?
Why is it still there? It's been fucking 40 years, man.
You'd think some scrappers would be or that'd be a probably famous place. They're oh, this is where Luke Skywalker grew up. Let's vandalize it.
Exactly. But it's just covered in sand.
Oh no, not the sand.
Sand. Coarse and rough. No. I just... why is that place, still there, though? I don't know. Maybe I'm the asshole for that.
Maybe we're being too picky here, but, Can
we just backtrack for a moment, though? I want to talk about something real quick. Because, this is just a big thing. And this might be me nitpicking. But, can we talk about the fact that, so with Palpatine sucking their life force out of Ben Solo and Rey, and I just want to talk about this because he sucks the life force out of them and he starts to heal because he's kind of this cyborgy,
he almost
zombie looking motherfucker.
Yeah, he almost looks like a melted Michael Myers mask in the beginning of the film.
I mean, he looks like your ex-girlfriend. It's pretty bad.
That hurts.
I'm just saying, man, you could do better.
Anyway, though, so, at least mine didn't look like Jabba the Hutt. But it was never explained why Palpatine was even alive. He basically had all these minions. He was hooked up to, I guess, what you would consider to be a life support system. And it was never really explained. The explanation was the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities, some to be considered unnatural. which that's my favorite scene of the prequels. Doesn't mean that that's the answer. At least be like, look, Plagueis taught me this, you know. It's just, a lot of it just wasn't explained. And I'm fine with, you know, an ambiguous nature to a film, but there's some things that beg to be answered. And I think this is one of them, because I think his death in Return of the Jedi is pretty substantial. Because even if he fell down the shaft, the Death Star eventually blew up. Even if he's hanging on to the side of the shaft, it still blew up. So, and then, like, let's say he even survived that, and he's just floating around space. He would just implode.
Well, as we learned in Last Jedi, you don't implode in space. You use your force powers to float through space.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Hey, Leia can do it. Anyone can. So let's get to the more filmmaking technical aspects of this film.
Oh, I had a point with that, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about this, because this legitimately bothers me, okay?
Are we going to talk about how he died in 5 seconds of taking his own Force lightning? When in episode 3 he didn't?
Wait, did you let me finish my point?
Alright, finish your fucking point.
Because that's all of my point.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't yell at me.
I'm sorry I raised my voice.
Yeah, I'm not J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. I don't deserve this.
Okay.
So, here's my point with this. So he sucks the life force out of Rey and Ben Solo. And I also want to point about this is that Ben Solo starts to get up, like he starts to like be fine. He's just like, that fucking sucked. And he gets like tossed. He just gets fucking like the Palpatine's just like, I'm not dealing with this shit. It just tosses him in a goddamn ravine. Which, you know, I also want to put in perspective of this in Star Wars. Anytime he gets tossed in a goddamn ravine, fucking check it. They're fucking Jedi and Siths. They're probably fine. They can fall large distances and not have to deal with.
Palpatine did it.
He blew up. Apparently, you just can't die in Star Wars. That's what happens. You're not allowed to die.
But Luke can.
So anyways, with the point I'm making, so he then proceeds to basically take the Force lightning powers, which we all know and love that Palpatine can do, and just shoots them to the goddamn sky.
Oh my god.
And just takes out half the fucking, like, rebel fleet. And it's just like, I don't think that's possible. Even with what you're implying. But, like, I don't think that's possible. But even with that, when Rey gets up, Rey then proceeds to get up, and she is all the Jedi. And she then proceeds to deflect Force lightning back into Palpatine. Palpatine then takes the fucking lightning, and he projects it onto her, and she reflects it back, which is a Force ability, which we know Mace Windu in Episode 3 was able to do because he's a Jedi fucking master, and he is taken the ability to help reflect this using the Force and his lightsaber, and basically using his lightsaber as a rod. Channels it back into Palpatine, and that causes Palpatine to be scarred because, he looked like a normal person, and he also looked like the Senate.
Well, he is the Senate.
But, Rey proceeds to then, project it back into, Palpatine, and it just, he doesn't, you would think that Palpatine, knowing how this has gone before, would A, stop it so that, and try something else, because, Rey's doing this and he's already been down this road. B, he doesn't. And it takes it back and he explodes.
And then he exploded. Yeah.
Which also went with this, just on that, when Palpatine sucked the life force out of Rey, he went from being this, like, grotesque figure, and he then looks like Palpatine at the end of Return of the Jedi, or beginning of Return of the Jedi, or whatever stuff. And he's like, he's now Palpatine Prime, or Palpatine Supreme, whatever you want to fucking call it. And it's like, did he look like Palpatine in Episode 3?
It's like when Jetfire combines with Optimus Prime, you get Optimus Maximus. It's basically what that is. Let's get into the more technical aspects here. from the more. This is just us bitching.
I don't understand. It's a story issue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just his death was just poorly handled, and then he had like this crowd of minions. What are they doing? They're just fucking standing there. What were they? Were they just like they looked like black hooded Jawas? To like
don't insult the Jawa. The Jawa doesn't deserve to be taken down. Don't include them in this shitty movie.
But alright, I'm done bitching.
What point is it though? I also want to with this. This is the thing that pisses me off the most. Like, I can deal with everything else. This thing just this hurts because for 2 fucking movies prior to this, I've been begging. I've literally tweeted J.J. Abrams probably like 20 times. I've tweeted him this.
Why?
Because
he's not gonna respond.
I don't even respond. I just want the one chance that he's gonna possibly fucking see it.
He's not gonna care. You're one. No.
Let me fucking finish. I've been begging for Duel of the Fates to be fucking put in.
Oh my god.
It's the greatest Star Wars fucking movie of all goddamn time. I've tweeted him like 20 fucking times. Good. Probably not gonna see it, but on the off chance that he fucking does, because as Stan Lee once said, one person can make a difference.
Okay, that's
completely different
that's
context.
Peter Parker, okay.
Completely different context, but I don't fucking care. I am taking it and applying it to how I want it to be applied. Fucking trailer.
The TV spot had Duel of the Fates.
No, it's a shitty version of Duel of the Fates, but it's still Duel of the fucking Fates.
So how hard is it? And they know that's everyone's favorite prequel music cue.
It's the fucking...
Put it in!
Well, it sounded like the fucking Minions for like a brief second were getting ready to do the chants and stuff. They were getting ready to do... Yeah, if you listen to it, like, right when he's like, Rey, strike me down and become the next all the Sith, or what the fuck it is, I don't give a shit.
I would have been okay with that.
They started to do the chant, and it started to sound like Duel of the Fates. I'm like, oh, here it is.
Is that you just looking for Duel of the Fates, though?
That was me expecting. This is because I knew it was going to be coming, because I was like, we're towards the end of the film. It's got to be coming soon. And it's like, it started to sound like, yes, and it went a completely different fucking direction. How fucking hard is it to put Duel of the fucking Fates in the goddamn fucking Star Wars fucking movie, you pieces of shit.
Cinematography.
That's a Star Wars movie. It's not bad. It's gonna.
Yeah,
cinematography.
It's never the technical stuff. They have the budget. They have some of the best camera operators in the world. It's never the technical aspects. The special effects look decent for the most part. For me, this problem with this film is more just, like I said, pacing and just story direction. And one big problem I have with Rey is, the reason why everyone loves Rocky Balboa so much is because he got back up. He got battered. He lost the fight in the first film, got back up, and beat Apollo Creed in the second film. That's why everyone loves him. He keeps getting back up. Whereas Rey never took one hit of damage. Like, it's just, she's invincible. And we all know that's Kathleen Kennedy's dirty hands right there. But
I mean, the closest she ever got to taking an actual, bit of damage was, in the third film when, Palpatine basically sucks her life force out. And it's not even like a physical blow. It's like,
I just don't know this whole life force thing. I don't know when that became an issue here. You know how many times people could have done that and saved people's lives?
Vader didn't have to die.
And then we have Kylo Ren, of course, giving his life for Rey. And
for that as well.
I didn't hate that. I didn't like the kiss. I just don't think there was...
That was an awkward... We're 2 for 2, guys. 2 for 2 for awkward Star Wars kisses.
Yeah. Rose and Finn, which is one of the worst kisses in the history of film.
I think it was the worst kiss in the history of film.
But, that's more just for the... I guess they call them Reylo fans. I just never saw them as much of a love interest, but I guess we're gonna make that a thing now.
I didn't like that. I mean, I thought if you're gonna do a love interest for Rey, which I don't think you needed a love interest for Rey, but if you're gonna do it, I mean, Finn made the most sense. That was the most set up.
Or C-3PO.
C-3PO was so wasted in this trilogy. So was R2. What the fuck? R2 is the most wasted character in this.
That and Chewie. Oh yeah, can we talk about Chewie's death? I started laughing when they look back and you see Chewie getting arrested.
He's on the fucking ship. He was on the ship. And then he just suddenly, where's Chewie? He's just getting arrested by the stormtroopers. It's like, what? Where did he
It's like something out of Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Like, they even had the comedic cue and everything. Where's Chewie? Getting loaded into the ship.
Look, man.
And then...
Racist motherfucking stormtroopers.
And then they're just fighting over the ship with the Force. That was a cringy scene. That was just cringy.
When Force lightning comes out, which...
It's good foreshadowing, I guess, but still...
Oh, here's the thing, though. I was always under the impression with Force lightning, you had to be trained in the way of the Sith to use Force lightning.
From what I've... Yeah, usually, but...
You have to be trained. Just Rey suddenly...
Well, maybe Leia had some dark days, and she just started training her dark side shit. She's like, Leia, I don't think this is part of the itinerary. Shut up and do Force lightning.
Okay.
Think negative thoughts. This is what Ryan wanted.
What the fuck?
But yeah, and then I just from it just kind of felt goofy because they revealed Chewie was alive, but then they had like their own little funeral sequence for him. When you know he's alive though, so that's just worthless.
If here's the thing: if this is in the second film and Chewie's just gone for the rest of it, and we find him in the third film,
yeah,
I'm okay with that because
it was like 3 minutes later.
It's literally 10 minutes later, we've gone to a new planet now. New convenient plot device. Rey using the powers of the Force. Oh my god, guys. I sense Chewie. He's alive. Really, where is he? Sky. Tell me I'm wrong, though. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. Fucking retarded. Fucking movie's horrible. I hate Star Wars sometimes.
Star Wars is my favorite film series of all time, but there's also times where it's my least favorite.
Sand!
Oh, this film is sand. But, I think we do have to mention Carrie Fisher in this. I think they did pretty good. If she wasn't dead, it'd be hard to tell that she was just shoehorned in here with deleted footage from Force Awakens.
I was under the impression they dug up her body, put her skeleton in the film, and then used the CGI around it.
That's what they did to Peter Cushing. But yeah, I feel like they kind of threw her in there decently. It wasn't easy to tell that she wasn't actually there. And I think they kind of did honor to the character. It's not I think her death could have been better, but it was very limited, so maybe that's how they had to do it. There was one point where I could kind of tell it was a body double, which is fine though.
Yeah.
But
I think it's easy to tell it's a body double because whenever Leia's on the screen talking, except for I think one or two scenes, which is clearly just CGI, and it's always a voiceover, and you always see somebody. You never see if Rey's speaking, or Poe is speaking, whoever's speaking stuff. You see them when they're talking, but it's always a behind shot when it's Leia.
When Rey was hugging Leia, there was a point where you could really tell it was 80 yard in, which is fine. Like I said,
yeah. Again, we understand the issue of what you had there. And what they did was relatively well.
Can we give a shout out to Mark Hamill's wig? I haven't seen anyone comment about this yet. It looked like Lou Ferrigno's Incredible Hulk wig. The yak hair just grew out. But Mark Hamill did a good job as always. I love how she went to throw the lightsaber, and he just catches it.
Did you know Force Ghosts can catch things physically?
Okay, but Alec Guinness sat on the log in Return of the Jedi, so...
That's true. Why didn't he just sit on the log? He's a fucking ghost.
It's Alec Guinness. He was tired, okay?
Man.
He earned the right to sit on the log.
Okay, man.
But, yeah. What are your thoughts on the ending? How this was just put a close to this 9-film Skywalker saga?
Honestly, for me, I I really don't like what they did. I honestly feel like you have tarnished the other 6 films by doing this. I mean, especially with shoehorning Palpatine in at the end here. It bothers me, honestly. I'm really bothered by it. I would rather just consider the first 6 films, and then Rogue One and Solo as all canon. I prefer just to ignore the new trilogy, the First Order trilogy, the Disney trilogy, whatever you want to call it, because I think that it's a very flawed trilogy. And again, I hate that this is what we got, because clearly George Lucas had a different plan for what this was supposed to go, and basically diving into what the wills are, and
that would have been
kind of the philosophical part of the Force and everything. And
I'm a very deep thinking philosophical person, so I would have loved that.
I think it would have been really interesting, but he didn't want to do that, obviously, because he was scared of fan backlash, and I can understand that.
It's because it would have involved midichlorians, which is what he straight up said. I didn't hate midichlorians as much as other people did, personally. I'll take midichlorians over what we got, though. Personally.
It's a very hard thing to swallow. It's a very hard pill to swallow with this, because I think that, this trilogy had a lot of potential, and a lot of the potential just was never found.
Alright. Film rating. I do mine out of 5 stars. I took 2 days to think of a proper rating. I'm going to go with... I'll give it a 2 out of 5. That might be higher than what you're going to give it.
That's way too high for me. I can't give it that high. I'm at a 1.25 right now, and the reason
it's not too much different.
No, but I think that's enough. I can't give it anything higher than that, because honestly, it's a very flawed film, and the flaws that are in it are just, they're overwhelming, they're overbearing, and it's just, there are not enough positives for me. I think there are beautiful moments, but they're too far and few in between to really go any higher, which I give this movie a worse rating than Cats. I should say all it needs to be said.
Cats. Oh man.
At least Cats was entertaining. At least I got a good laugh out of Cats.
No, I broke down and started laughing hysterically for no reason at Cats. But I give it a 2 out of 5 because I look at filmmaking as a process. Cinematography was good. John Williams, I thought, did a way better job than he did with the other 2 of the trilogy. I think, he even came out and said he put a lot into this. Soundtrack's good. For the most part, cinematography's good. I don't like the slow-mo, personally. That's just not for me. I think it boils a film down.
See, I feel like you have to take, from a technical standpoint, there are certain good things, and I'm definitely factoring those into that. Mm-hmm. But with it being as big of a budget as it is, I feel like that's almost a knock. If it didn't have those things and stuff, you know what I mean? I expect it.
Yeah, but there's been big budget films that have shit cinematography.
I don't disagree with that, but, with a Star Wars film, what we've gotten with the other 2 films and stuff in this, as well as, Solo and Rogue One, with the Disney Star Wars films, I feel like there's a level of what I have to expect from it, if that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion, though.
I think this is worse than Last Jedi, which honestly baffles me. I didn't think that was ever possible. I really didn't. But yeah, I mean, I think I liked it better than Last Jedi, but that's also like taking 2 piles of shit and saying one smells a little better.
This one's cow shit and this one's pig shit. Pick your choice.
But yeah, definitely give your thoughts down below and what your ratings would be. So yeah, we're going to do reviews for all the Star Wars films eventually. Just give us some time. We're also going to do a holiday special commentary. Can't wait. So,
because we hate ourselves.
Peace out.